Wonderful. Hi. Hi, everybody. Thank you. And congratulations. Congratulations on completing this awesome 12-week course. So I'm congratulating not only the 14 FinTechs that have been doing this course, but also congratulations to the banks, the partners, the mentors who've been participating in this program, because I know that you, or I probably should say we, have gotten as much out of the program as the FinTechs themselves. So throughout this endless speed dating, pitching, panel discussions, roundtables, debates, I think it's been a wonderful two-way learning for both sides. So thank you guys all for participating, and again, congratulations on the end of this great program. Now, who am I? I am Laura McCracken, and as you can tell from my accent, I am not from around here. I'm originally from Texas, but I was a military brat, moved around quite a lot, once every 3 years. So it kind of fed my addiction for change, which I still have am plagued with to this day as an adult, for better or for worse. I've lived in LA, New York, Singapore, Luxembourg, London, and this is now my adopted home. Anyway, so that's a little bit about me. And then my career, which has been spanning over 30 years, which unfortunately ages me a little bit, has spanned from American Express to Citi to Amazon, Facebook, Wirecard, and now Accenture. And I'm responsible here for e-commerce and payments across the software and platforms industry. Now, one thing that is constant in my world of change is partnerships. And I know you guys have talked a lot about partnerships, but I'd like to talk today about unconventional partnerships. And throughout my career, I've been doing this. So at American Express, I was responsible for co-branded card partnerships with airlines, the likes of British Airways, retailers like Costco, banks, etc. And then with Amazon, I was leading payments for Europe and was working with a lot of FinTech players and banks and even competitors. At Facebook, I was doing P2P payments for WhatsApp and launching social commerce with Instagram. And lastly, with Wirecard, I worked with a lot of FinTechs to help them kind of get off the ground, like Revolut, N26, Curve, to name a few. And they were basically leveraging the license and the services that Wirecard had to offer before they so unceremoniously disappeared from the face of this planet. Anyway, we won't go into the Wirecard stories. So anyway, again, I'd like to talk to you today about innovating through these unconventional partnerships. And I'd like to kind of talk about a few areas I think that makes a difference. One is customer focus. The next is convergence of industries. And the last is cannibalization. So I'll talk a little bit about each of those. The first one, customer focus, is near and dear to my heart, having worked at Amazon, which is one of the most customer-obsessed companies on the planet. I found that you don't want to innovate just for the sake of innovation. You don't want to partner just for the sake of partnering. We do it to engage and delight and surprise even customers in new ways. So I'm sure you've heard a little bit about the way that Amazon innovates. I think it's a really good program. We used to do press releases and frequently asked questions. So you would actually write a press release about what you're planning to do, and you would have quotes from customers and partners explaining the customer value. And that made sure that you did things for the right reasons. Another example that I often think about is the empty chair. I don't know if you heard about this, but Jeff Bezos famously always had an empty chair at the boardroom table. And so we would be sitting around the table and you have this empty chair. And then anytime someone comes up with a harebrained idea, someone points at the empty chair and says, what would the customer say? What would they think about this? And that was a way of ensuring that the customer always had a seat at the table and always had a voice. So that's my bit on customer. Then moving to one of my observations at the time right now is a lot about the convergence of industries. This has been happening for some time. We know that, it used to be in the past that you had defined lines like retail, consumer goods, technology, telco, media, financial services, and they were all kind of playing within their boundaries. They knew what the rules were, and they stayed between the lines. But now, with the digitization of literally everything and everything moving into the cloud, the rules have changed. So now, I used to buy products like Nike from Selfridges, from a retailer. Now I buy it from Instagram or TikTok. I used to watch CNN. Now I watch Twitter. I used to buy tech products, like high definition tech products from tech companies like Microsoft or Dell or Apple. And now you're seeing companies like Amazon create the Echo, or Facebook create the Oculus. So they're getting into the tech game and creating devices that we have in front of our faces all day long. And the list goes on. So we do know that the traditional industry lines are blurring. And I believe that they are converging towards platforms like Uber and Airbnb, marketplaces like Alibaba or Mercado Libre, or social commerce like TikTok and Pinterest and Instagram. And of course, my latest obsession, I can't stop thinking about this, super apps. I'm obsessed, and I'm sure that super apps are coming our way, kind of like Alipay and WeChat that we have in China. So we know that these industry lines are kind of disappearing. It's not to mean that the traditional industries or the incumbents are going to go away. They're here to stay. They'll continue to innovate and delight customers within their own lines. However, they absolutely have to embrace an omni-channel strategy. They have to invent new business models, and they, most importantly, have to accept and embrace unconventional partnerships, even with competitors, in order to survive and thrive. So spanning new boundaries also means that you have to be willing to cannibalize your own business. And this brings me to my third and final point to this lesson is you have to be willing to cannibalize your own business. And I do have a couple of stories here to tell. I'll just tell one from American Express, since I already told some Amazon ones. But at American Express, I remember a time when American Airlines came to us and said, "Hey, why don't we do a co-branded credit card? We can have American Airlines and American Express, and we can give loyalty points for every dollar that the customer spends." And guess what American Express said? We said, "Oh no, we couldn't possibly do that. That would cannibalize our business. That's crazy. We already have a loyal traveler base." And so American Airlines said, "Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, it was American Airlines said, okay, well, we'll go and talk to Visa." And they did. They talked to Visa and created a co-branded credit card, and then they cannibalized our base. So rather than us cannibalizing our own base with an unconventional partnership, we allowed someone else to take our lunch. And learned a lot from that. And that's why I spent the next, 10 years of my life trying to create partnerships for American Express to catch up from that one poor decision that we made back in the early 90s. Again, aging myself. So, so what's in it for you? I think I'm almost out of time, so I'm gonna have to leave it over to questions in a second. But I think what's in it for the FinTech world, it's the most exciting time ever. You know, you look at, you're already spanning boundaries, you're creating new business models, you're innovating, look at embedded finance, one of the core themes this year. When you look at embedded finance, you know, it's about putting financial services in the customer journey when and where it's most convenient to them. And that makes sense for the customer, it makes sense for you, it makes sense for the partners all around. But we can go even further. So I would encourage you guys next to kind of look at the landscape, look across all of the industries, think about where you can play. And maybe it's not embedded finance, maybe it's embedded commerce, like Alipay. Maybe you'll embed commerce or taxi hailing into your mobile wallet. So you never know. It could really turn things on its head. But it's an exciting time, and I'm really happy to have participated, met some of you, and I hope to meet the rest of you in the near future. And with that, I'll turn it over for any questions if you have any. I had someone on the line, they went mute, so I couldn't hear what they were saying. But I think someone asked something about the biggest mistake that I've ever seen a FinTech make. And I think that the answer to that would be when people focus too much on one metric. So I did again work for Wirecard just before they went bust, and one of the problems was they were focused on one metric and one metric only, and that was revenues. They weren't focused on the right things. They didn't have a balanced scorecard, and they didn't put the values in place. So I would encourage you guys, as you're building your businesses, to create a balanced scorecard. Make sure you have, take the time to create the corporate culture and the values that are going to see you through the long term, and don't just focus on one single metric. Any other questions? It's in my chat. It's weird talking to people from home. I think that's it. Anything else? No, great. Well, it's been wonderful talking to you guys. I hope that you have a wonderful celebration. I did bring some champagne to toast you, so here's to you, and I'm going to enjoy this right after I finish this talk.